Okay, so Miss Saigon is the fact that it's like based on Madame Butterfly should have just given you enough of how like bullshit this musical is. But there's more. Let me tell you. So God, I forget all these characters' names. So I think there's Lea Salonga. Her name is Kim. So it takes place in Vietnam during the war, and there are a bunch of these like Marines, and they were going to this club, and in this club there are like a bunch of Vietnamese women who are kind of like prostitutes basically, and they're competing in this competition to be Miss Saigon at this brothel, because Vietnam, because God, so already there's like all these Asian women, and they exist so that all these white guys can just have sex with them, so you know it's gonna be really good. And so we meet Lea Salonga, who is 17. She's 17 years old. She's 17. She's 17 years old.
How old is she?
She's 17! And of course they have like this pretty okay like dance sequence, I guess, and you know, Lea Salonga doesn't win Miss Saigon. And so one of the Marine guys is like, hey, Chris, I think his name is Chris. Hey, Chris, I'm gonna buy you a night with this girl, Kim, because you're a cool guy, you deserve to have a woman, an underage woman, to sleep with you. And Chris is like, nah, bro, but he's like, okay. And so, of course, Chris and Kim sleep together. And like, the next morning, Chris is like, oh, let me give you money. And Kim is like, no, don't give me money because you're the first man I ever slept with. And she's like, okay with this. And then they fall in love. Like, literally, like, they wake up and they, like, fall in love. And they have this, like, really dumb love song. And, like, it's maddening. This is, like, the first, like, 15 minutes of this play, by the way. That's just what happens. And then, like, God, so, like, this is when I start skipping around because, like, already this play is, like, bullshit to me. So, like, a bunch of stuff happens. And Chris is like, I'm gonna come back for you, alright? It's gonna be so great. The war's gonna end, and you're gonna come to America with me, and we're gonna be peachy and hunky-dory, and everything's gonna be great. And of course the audience is like, sure, Chris. Yeah. And then, it's like 3 years later, and guess what? Kim thinks that Chris is just gonna come back for her, and she's still in love with him, and she's poor, and she's like covered in dirt, and it's sad. And then there's like this guy, there's this like North Vietnamese, so there's this like North Vietnamese soldier guy who's apparently like betrothed to Kim, and he's like, yo Kim, I'ma marry you, and Kim's like, no way man, my heart belongs to someone else, and the guy's like, what, why, we had a deal, we're supposed to get married. She's like, I'm not gonna get married to you, and you know why? And then from the wings, out comes a little half-Asian, half-white, like 3-year-old boy comes running to his mother's arms, and that's when I go, what the fuck, are you kidding me? Of course she has like a baby with this guy who she slept with, like the one man she slept with, and like the one, And so North Vietnamese soldier guy is like, what? This is terrible. This sucks, alright? So I'm gonna kill this little boy. That's what I'm gonna do. And Kim is like, no, you're not gonna kill him. In fact, I'm gonna kill you. And she does. She shoots him, and he dies. And then this guy comes. Oh, there's like this other guy. He's called like the engineer or something, and he like owns the brothel where Kim worked or something. And he comes in and is like, Kim, what the fuck did you do? And she's like, I killed him. And he's like, okay, let's go to Bangkok. And so then, like, that's the end. That's the end of Act 1. And I'm offended, because I'm family from Bangkok, so I can't believe, you know, that there has to be in this dumb musical. And so you know, Act 1 ends, and of course, like, Lea Salonga is singing this, like, beautiful song about how she's gonna, like, take care of her kids while her kid is, like, coloring or doing some shit like that. And so Act 2 opens, and they're in Bangkok, and it's not pretty. It still sucks. Kim still believes that Chris is gonna come back, and it's gonna be great, because she's just like this helpless Vietnamese woman, and it's just so sad and so dumb. And so finally we see Chris, and we see he's like in America, somewhere in America, I think like Georgia or something, but then, oh no, Chris is married to a white lady, oh my god, how sad, and he has PTSD because soldier, and it's sad, and then his friend is like, guess what Chris, Kim is alive, holy shit, and Chris is like, what, let's go to Bangkok, I think they go to Bangkok, everyone goes to Bangkok, alright? So they go to Bangkok, and And one of the soldier guys is like, oh my gosh, Kim, Chris is here. Go see him, it's gonna be great. And Kim's like, what? Oh my god, great, because we have the kid together and now like Chris can take me home and now we can be a happy family because things are gonna be okay and because of course it's because it's Vietnam, so of course things are gonna turn out perfectly fine. And for some reason, he could have just, okay, and at this moment, the soldier guy, I think his name is John. John could have right there been like, cool, well guess what, Kim, so Chris is married, I should let you know that, so don't freak out, alright, don't freak out. But he doesn't tell her, he knows this is happening, and he knows Kim is in love with her, but he still is like, great, Chris is gonna be over there, stay cool. And so Kim, and so the audience is like, okay, well clearly like Kim's heart is going to be broken because this is like absolutely terrible. But fine, all right, fine. We're just gonna watch this whole thing. And then Kim finally meets up with Chris, but she doesn't see Chris first. No. She sees Chris's wife, Ellen, and of course Kim thinks that Ellen is like John's wife, but no, she's Chris's wife. And of course Kim, understandably, is like really fucking upset at this. And I'm screaming like, John, you could have just told her, you could have just fucking told her right there when you had the chance to, then we have to watch 20 minutes of Kim being completely heartbroken and watching her dreams being crumbled.
He also brought his wife with him to look for his prostitute in Bangkok.
I know! I know! And then, okay, and so Kim, you know, she's being like really eerily calm about this. And of course, oh, by the way, like, I know there's like this helicopter sequence that happens, like, it was a dream sequence of some sort, and it was like a flashback of like when, you know, Vietnam fell. I don't really give a shit, because the story fucking sucks! And so, alright, so we're back at this, and Kim is like, hey, Ellen, can you take my son, you know, my son, who is your husband's child, can you take him to America and raise him? And Ellen's like, what? No, that's not my kid. I want to have my own kids. And you know what? This kid, he needs his mother, and you're his mother, and I'm not going to take care of an Asian baby, so get the fuck lost. And Kim, of course, once again, is super upset. And we still haven't seen Chris. We still have not seen Chris. We have gone through this entire act. Just having to watch Chris suffer through the laziest, like, the laziest representation of PTSD ever. Like so lazy. He just sits in bed like the entire time. Like, oh my god. But finally, oh god, did they even meet at the end? Okay, yeah, let's say they finally like see each other. Things are not great at all because she's still like, please take my son, just take my son to America, everything will be fine. And they're like, nah, we're not gonna do that. And of course Kim is like, okay. Very well then. She leaves. Something happens. Basically, she leaves the room. She says goodbye to her son. And of course, if you know Madame Butterfly, you know what's coming. And I know Madame Butterfly, so I'm ready to just like punch my computer screen because I'm watching like a film version of this here. I would not pay money to see this shit. And so she sings like some really nice song to her son, who I think is still coloring. He spends the entire time just coloring. And so she goes behind a curtain, and then you hear a gunshot because she somehow got a gun into this hotel in Bangkok. And so she's dead. And of course, everyone's like, oh no, Kim died. I guess we're going to have to take her son. Wow, man, look at the sacrifices that she makes. Isn't that really sad? And so you just spend this entire musical watching this 17-year-old woman. She is 17 years old. She gets like the
how old is she?
17 years old.
Thank you.
She's like a prostitute. She's poor. She has to be beaten down, like physically, emotionally, like in every possible way, and she never gets anything. And it just is so. I know it's so aggravating. And it's just like it's just a shitty Orientalist piece of shit. This sucks. Vietnam was terrible. And they sullied the name of Bangkok.